So the weather is good in Ireland at the minute. Many people are out in their gardens enjoying the good weather, having things to look forward to. Some people are going abroad on holidays. Some people are just pottering around in the garden. Other people have, let's just say, anticipation towards a certain cultural event that's due to take
Yes.
place this coming weekend. But there is a malignant, let me say, a malignant contingent that are hell bent, I think is the right word, hell bent with a stress emphasis on hell, of stopping this get together. And we discussed this last week here with John Wilson, who's joining me again today very kindly, ex-garda from Cavan. And it's to do with the Mise Éire festival that has been moved from Drumshanbo to a new location. And it seems to be the malignant core that are hell-bent on sabotaging it and stopping it haven't let up, John. They're still like hellhounds on the trail of the late, great Robert Johnson. They're after Stephen Kerr and co, the organizers of this event. Why? What's so wicked and evil? It's like they're like Van Helsing chasing down vampires.
Free speech is for the rogue as well as for the virtuous. And these people, as far as I'm concerned, they are lower than whale shit. They are communists. They're out and out communists. They do not believe in free speech. The only speech that they believe should be free is their own speech. These people are vile scum.
Now, that's, some people might say, John, that's very strong words that you're using there, but we'll have to understand what we're actually dealing with here. And I want to just run through an article. Now, this has made it into, I suppose you would say, some type of mainstream press in the shape and form of the Irish Examiner. They've written a piece about this, and their headline reads, Castle Bar residents, that's because it's been moved from Drumshanbo in County Leitrim to Castle Bar in County Mayo. So they've skipped the county here, you know, put a little bit of space between them and the nasty hellhounds, possibly. But Castle Bar residents and business owners have raised concerns about a far-right festival. At least that's what they claim. Residents and business owners in Castle Bar say they have significant concerns for public safety and the town's welcoming reputation. Now, is that not irony of the highest order? The town's welcoming reputation, and they're going hell for leather to try and get people, at least 750 Irish people, banned from Mayo.
To be kind, this is the Be Kind Brigade, the most vile human beings in society, on earth, on God's earth. They'll hate me using God's name because they hate God as well. These people are vile scumbags. They are vile, the most vile human beings on the planet. They're now, I mean, this article is from last Saturday, the 17th of August. There's also another article from the 6th of August. And the headline in that piece of literature was Far-Right Music Festival cancelled after Irish artists signed open letter opposing it. That was Wednesday, the 6th of August, 2025. Journalists are meant to be the fourth estate. Unfortunately, the press is meant to be the fourth estate. Journalists, there are very, very few decent. There are very, very few real journalists in Ireland today. They're all activists. The majority of these so-called journalists are now activists. These are two activist hit pieces on the Mise Éire festival. They throw around the term far right without even defining it. In last Saturday's article, they spoke about, the residents' concern. You know, they're so concerned. Business people are so concerned. Who are these people? There's nobody named. Nobody has come forward and said, I oppose the Mise Éire festival taking place in Castlebar for X, Y, and Z reasons. No. This is just another hit piece. Listen, a 3-year-old child could have written this article and could have written the article from the 6th of August last.
And with this here, again, the classic playbook here is being used as well. If you want to shut someone down and you want to censor someone, what you tell people is it's to protect you. It's in your best interest. So effectively what this is saying here, you can see it there in the second paragraph. Residents and business owners say, residents and business owners in air quotes, say they have significant concerns for public safety. So protecting the public, this is being opposed really to protect the public and to save the reputation of a otherwise welcoming town. So that's what the headline reads. Some more of this article is saying about the Mise Éire festival was originally planned for the 23rd in the Mayflower Community Hall in Drumshanbo, County Leitrim, and of course we did a piece last week with Philip Dwyer, who both him and yourself traveled to Drumshanbo, spoke with a lovely gentleman from the community there, Sean. And then let's just say other events happened and transpired that are still yet to see the light of day, coming from a position again of hate and what I could only describe as a hellhound being dispatched upon you, lovely gentlemen, to disrupt your peaceful filming in the village.
Freedom of thought and speech are fundamental human rights. These vile, low-life scumbags don't know what the definition of thought and free speech are. These vile human beings, and I will continue to use the term, these vile human beings, they're only interested in spreading their communist message, their totalitarian message. These people have no tolerance for anyone else's opinion. If you don't agree with them, they will destroy you. They will come after you. And that's why we have to stand up to these scumbags. We have to stand up to them and we have to destroy them and their ideology.
Well, you see, this is the thing. If you look at this picture in particular, you know, this is a United Against Racism organization that's, you know, all over Ireland at the minute. They've got little branches and little outlets here, there, and everywhere. And here we see them standing at the steps, I believe, of the GPO in Dublin on one of their counter protests. Of course, with a red flare going off in the background and having their banners up and spouting nasty messages with their blue hair and bones through their noses in some cases, which again is up to the individual. I don't care what somebody looks like. But what I'm saying is they don't look like a very welcoming bunch. And they don't look like a very tolerant bunch. And is this not the very definition of hypocrisy and gaslighting when a group like that, John, is saying that we can't allow people like yourself, Philip Dwyer, and the people that are organizing the Mise Éire event to come to Castle Bar because it might frighten people off? Hell's bells, would that not frighten you off if they were there counter protesting like that?
These individuals and their NGO friends are dictating government policy. Micheál Martin and Simon Harris, our Taoiseach, laughable, but anyhow, our Taoiseach and our Taoiseach, two of the weakest politicians that we have ever had the misfortune to have in Ireland, two of the weakest political leaders, I'd say the two weakest political leaders that we've ever had in Ireland. These two men have the combined testosterone level of a limp lettuce. That's a fact. But these scumbags are dictating government policy. These scumbags, these vile human beings, are being listened to by our traitorous Irish government.
And supported by them too.
These people have more influence than the hard-working, decent Irish taxpayers have.
Yeah,
the hard-working, decent Irish patriots.
They're not just listening to them, but that's the problem. You know, when you see certain political parties aligning themselves with groups like this, like Sinn Féin, for example, or People Before Profit, who have a sitting TD in the Dáil in the shape and form of Paul Murphy, for example, they're not just listening to groups like this, but they're actually getting out on the street and getting behind groups like this, and you know, obviously showing, how would you say, a preference to a platform like this versus, for example, when you look at the big protest that happened in Dublin, the first one in April, there was 300 to 500 of these guys at the other side of the road versus 50,000 plus men, women, children, elderly people in wheelchairs, you know, fathers carrying their daughters on their shoulders, no problem at all, waving tricolours. They weren't setting off flares, they weren't shouting abuse. The abuse was coming from one direction.
The newspaper article that you referenced from last Saturday, it talked about the risk of public disorder. Any public disorder will not be on our side. Any public disorder will be caused by these morons if they decide to come to Castlebar to cause trouble. And I would just have a clear warning to these idiots, these morons, that if you come along and you decide that you're going to do the same as your colleague did below in Drumshambo last Saturday week, you will be dealt with. We will not yield. We will not back down. This is going to be a totally peaceful affair. It's about Irish culture. I am going there to learn, because as I told you just in the recent past, I've taken my Irishness for granted. I've only recently began to appreciate how lucky that I am to have been born in this great country. That's a fact. I never walked around wrapped in the tricolour. I always took my Irishness for granted. I never really fully appreciated how lucky that I am to have been born in this great country.
Could that be one of the motivators for the opposition? Could that be one of the but maybe people aren't even thinking about what you've just said? The fact that this is such an Ireland-centric event, focused 100% on Irish culture, as far as I know, Irish tradition. It's not talking about walking the streets or waving flags or banging drums or coming out with chants and slogans. It's contained within an area. There are people coming from all over Ireland to celebrate their culture, to network and do whatever they want to do. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the fact is that frightens them more than people walking down the streets, banging on drums and waving flags. The fact that people are actually taking a pause to say, hang on a minute, I'm taking this for granted. And if I don't do something about this, I stand to lose what I've been taking for granted for so long. Maybe that's one of the reasons for the kickback.
Most of these people, I'm not saying that there are some people that have, I'm not saying that everybody who's opposing us is a pink-haired nutjob.
No.
Some of them genuinely believe that we are far right, that we are, oh my God, we have to be stopped.
That's okay, isn't it? Isn't that okay?
It's free speech. Free speech is for the rogue as well as for the virtuous.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Now, people are entitled to protest, and I would defend these nutjobs' right to protest as well. I would fully defend their right. But I'd say, and from what I've seen to date, the vast majority of these people, they hate themselves, they hate their country, they hate everything got to do with Ireland. They can't wait. They hate being white. Right? They believe that that having been born white is some form of a disability. I kid you not. I kid you not. These people, they loathe Ireland. They loathe Irishness. They hate Ireland. They hate our flag. They love the flags of every other country on planet Earth except Ireland. The Palestinian flag, the pride flag. And by the way, the pride flag used to be a symbol of struggle. And now we have the progress pride flag. You go to Dublin Airport, and if you're driving into Dublin Airport, there's a line of the world's flags, right? The progress pride flag and the pride flag are the two first flags. They are flying side by side with the flags of nation states. That's how far this insanity has gone. These people hate Ireland. They hate Irishness. And then below in Galway, some of them started speaking Irish to the protesters. Why? What does that mean? I mean, a Pakistani who can speak fluent Irish is still a Pakistani. What's the point?
Trying to weaponize language as well. Weaponize anything that's going on. Let me rewind just a minute or two. Okay. And you said something there that I agree with completely. And some people don't get this, but free speech is for all. Okay. Yes. It's not just for you and I. We shouldn't be allowed to have a platform where we can just say whatever we want and shut down, for example, the people that are opposed to this festival. If we can speak freely for it, they should be able to have a platform to speak against it. However, going right back to the beginning of this conversation, there's an element of malice. There's an element of hatefulness there, and it's all whipped up around lies. Okay, so if I'm going to oppose you on something, at least I have to oppose you on something that's factually correct. So if I say John Wilson's having a festival in Cavan this week to do some, illegal activities, and that's a lie, well, then I'm in the wrong. I should not be allowed to push that message when it's patently wrong. So what I'm trying to get across here is, and if there's anyone from these groups listening in, hey, I don't agree with anything that you're about, completely against everything you're about, but I don't have a problem with you being able to voice your concerns and have a platform, but you've got to do it rightfully and in order and without malice and trying to just, with an element, a streak of hatred in it, coming against people that are simply trying to do what they believe is right for their beliefs. You know, is it not a case of live and let live, and what's right for thee is also right for me?
I despise nearly everything that these people believe in, but I would fight like hell for the right to say it.
Yeah.
And for their right to express their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a one-way street. These people have no tolerance for us. They have no tolerance for anybody with an opposing belief or an opposing opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving from the piece in the Examiner, and I'm just quoting it as it appeared. There has been a hit piece. There has been a new venue announced, and a petition has been gotten together off of the back of this hit piece that came out. Okay, so I'm looking here at the words that you've said about the deep concern about the potential for disruption and so on and so forth. In a statement, the Castlebar residents and business owners said they want local authorities to address the lack of transparency. Well, there's no transparency. If you go to the website for the festival, it tells you exactly who's going to be there, when they're going to be there, what to be expected, what's not to be expected, and what's on the agenda. There's nothing hidden in relation to this. Everything's out there in the public domain. But they've got a how would you say now a petition going, United Against Racism, Mayo, Stop the Mise Éire, far-right event, Drumshanbo said no, Castlebar, it's now your turn, say no, share the petition far and wide. So this petition, just to give people, again, this is just to give people a flavor of it here, is available on the change.org website. They've got about 1,000 people that have signed up for it now, which is probably in and around at least the amount of people that are going to be going down there to see the festival in the first place. They're not even outnumbering the people that really want to go to this thing in the first place, but they've put up a venue, and I believe this is now public knowledge. And just for anyone that's listening, by the way, hopefully, depending on scheduling and willfulness and whatnot, I'm going to try and speak to one of the organizers of this festival in the days just before it, just to get the final say on what's going on. But I believe, and you can confirm this, John, that the venue has now been confirmed as the Ivory Tower Hotel, Castlebar. And again, they're now coming out against the owner, a certain Tom McHugh. The owner is happily platforming hate, despite the fact many of his own workers are migrants. This will not be forgotten. So there's a hit on the owner of this hotel and a veiled, a little veiled threat. This will not be forgotten. What does that mean? He's off the Christmas card list or what?
I will excuse your Freudian slip. It's not the Ivory Tower, it's the Ivy Tower.
Oh, there you go, the Ivory.
It's a slight difference.
Yes.
They've now embarked on a full-scale attack on this premises. And for the next 5 days, they will bombard the owners and the staff with emails and phone calls, and I'd say many abusive emails and abusive phone calls. They're doing exactly what anti-free speech zealots, totalitarians and communists do. They're following the communist playbook verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
They will not be happy. They will pound that premises now for the next 5 days. They will hound the staff. They will hound the owners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe the owners are going to yield. And I'm looking forward to going there next Saturday, and I will be in the company of over 800 other people, and we're going to have a great day. And if they want to stand out on the road and shout and scream and wave their little pink banners and their little rainbow flags, fine, they're welcome to do that. They can do what they want. I don't really give a damn. As long as we're free to hold our festival and to have a good day, to enjoy ourselves, they can shout and roar and wave whatever banners and flags they want to wave. I don't care.
Let them knock them. And in fact, you know what? They could even buy a ticket if there was any left. They could come in and experience Irish culture for themselves.
They might learn something, but these people are not interested in engaging in rational debate. We saw in the aftermath of the
UK Supreme Court decision where they defined what a woman is. I mean, who'd have thought that a woman is defined as a woman is an adult human female? But one of their fellow travelers was on Talk TV the next morning, and this idiot had been on before shouting and roaring about the transgender issue. And Julia Hartley-Brewer just kind of started to discuss the Supreme Court judgment from the previous day. And this idiot couldn't answer a question. All of a sudden, I better not call her whore. I better just refer to this person as it.
Yeah.
It just got up and said, "Oh, I don't feel safe," and ran away. Couldn't answer the question. These people can't debate. All they can do is shout and scream and roar and abuse people. And then when they are faced with reality, they can't deal with it. They just run away. But they're dangerous bastards. They are dangerous scumbags.
Well, let me say this.
Anyone who thinks that they're just going to wave little flags and just stand there chanting, like remember the Father Ted episode, down with this sort of thing. No. These people are vile. These people are vile scumbags. They are dangerous.
I'll say this as well, just as opposed to wrap this up, okay? To wrap this up, because it's an update on this, and this thing is ongoing. This is shaping up to be, I believe, a watershed event, right? Whether it goes ahead or whether it doesn't, it's a watershed event, because depending on how this goes, it will signal, I believe, loud and clear that there is support for an independent Ireland-centric event like this in County Mayo, for example. It could be County Kerry, it could be Roscommon, it could be anywhere. But in this case, it just so happens to be Castlebar. And if this thing is cancelled again, after already having received opposition in Drumshanbo in County Leitrim, now potentially Castlebar in County Mayo, I think it'll send out a terrible signal, a very, very disturbing signal for the direction. We can see anyway the direction things are going, but if there's no opposition, and we're trying to oppose the opposition, if you get what I mean. I can see this week building up to some kind of a thing that maybe in time people will look back on, and they may even talk about the siege of Castlebar. What do you think?
Well, as we speak today, I believe the event is going ahead. I don't believe that the owners of this venue will yield, and rightly so. This is going to bring a lot of money into Castlebar, into the town of Castlebar. Between 800 and 900 people will be spending a lot of money. The 800 or 900 people that will be attending this event will be spending a lot of money in the town on accommodation, on food, on drink. This will prove to be a financial boost for Castlebar. Mm-hmm. And I believe this event is going ahead, and I also believe that the owners are strong and that they will not yield to this pressure. But pressure there will be. They're going to have to withstand a barrage of abuse now for the next 5 days. I don't believe they're going to yield.
No, I'm not a betting man or a gambling man. But if I was, I would bet the house that if there was no hullabaloo around this, if this event was just allowed to go ahead, even in Drumshanbo as originally planned, I would bet the house that there would have been no aggro, no incidents, no problems. I thought maybe a few people would have had a few drinks and you know what it's like when people drink. You can't give guarantees for everybody. But what I'm saying is there wouldn't have been any public order disturbances. No. There wouldn't have been any mass outbreaks of public disturbance. There wouldn't be any damage done to local businesses. The only thing would be done actually would be an injection into the local economy, a positive cash injection into the local economy, and maybe, just maybe, a repeat venue for something like that could grow year on year instead of trying to have it stifled.
Well, the one positive that has come from this affair that has come from the cancellation of the event that was meant to be held in the Mayflower Centre in Drumshanbo is the fact that if Stephen Kerr could accommodate 30,000 people, he would sell 30,000 tickets. The Mise Éire Festival is now on the map. And
exactly.
It's going to remain on the map, and it will be taking place next year as well.
You see, but that's what I mean. Maybe that's what the big hullabaloo is around. It would be different if it was a street protest that comes and goes. But if it's something that can get root and get established and grow like a seed, hence the fear is what I would describe it as from the people that are opposing it at the minute. Listen,
Yeah, but who's funding them, Rick? Who's funding these?
That's that. We could talk for another hour on that one.
This is not. These communists are not doing this organically.
No,
this is a synthetic movement. Who is funding these communists? These vile communist scumbags?
Yeah, that's a good
question. Follow the money. Follow the money.
Well, maybe that's a conversation for another time in the not too distant future. But as per this conversation, it's really just to keep people up to date with what's going on, the continued opposition to this festival. And like I said, if you can, listen, folks, share this video, cut and paste it, cut bits out of it, stick it onto your own pages. It's out there in the public domain. You can do whatever you want with it, okay? But just let's get the word out there about what's happening. And also, maybe before the festival takes place this coming weekend, I'll get a chance to have a chat with one of the organizers of that festival, maybe time permitting, calendars permitting, and all that business. But at the very, very least, we're trying to shine a light on the reality of what's happening here with regards to censorship and opposing a cultural event. Fair enough?
Mise Éire. Mise Éire.
That's the one. So share the content, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. That's John Wilson. I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.